right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Millett, the one and only. And this is the quarantine stream, the 57th one. If you're all doing okay out there, if you're all living life, having a good old time, let us hear the ever beautiful, ever wonderful, ever lovely, evergreen quarantine stream theme, shall we?
Life is but a dream in the quarantine stream.
All right. This has got to be fascinating. It always takes me so long to get into the first piece, but that's just the way that it goes, huh? It's okay. It's worth the wait, isn't? Is it not? Is it not worth the wait? I venture that it is. All right. All right, let's get this started. This is, of course, Flowers at the Foot of the Cave. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation, and a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you, but I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red. And the names of everyone there exist in my head. My head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door, dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. Quarter-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons looped like ringlets in the air, and the floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit, half childish, with freshly washed clothes strewn over the chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge while I am reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity. And for proof, you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true. But I trust that will get worked out by you. cool. Your love brings me peace. Your beauty brings me fantasy. Your thoughts bring me reality. Our love so naked and pure, of the dirt, of the clouds. Your strength gives me courage. Your dreams complete mine. Our circle forever revolving. It's called Submerging. My thoughts stop. My muscles go slack. I sink into the gray water. I rise, pick up shells, and see something inside. I see a spotlight bathed in cream, a turtle swimming slowly, and bioluminescent plankton out past the reef. I am not the follower. I have nothing to prepare for. I am not the leader. I've got no form. At this moment, I'm no one's son, except for my father's father's father. My head stays underneath. No new oxygen. For the time being, I've got everything I need. I'm not the follower. I've got nothing to wait for. I'm not the leader. I'm just being born. At this moment, I'm no one's son, except for my mother, the clouds, the sun, the land, the water. All is one. All is one. I have come. All is one. Open reach. All is one. To infinity. All is one. Circle soul. All is one. Bird's beak. All is one. Silver seed. All is one. We have come. Let's call that walk with God. I walk with God. I walk with God. Through all my changes, during my happiness, and throughout my challenges. I walk with God. I walk with God. Close to my memories, through my mistakes, past all my actions. I walk with God. I walk with God for forgiveness, for resolution, to see the stages I play a role in. I walk with God. I walk with God because I know it's easy to fall into false humility or declare your own authority. I walk with God. I walk with God to try and understand as much as I can about the expanse of creation. I walk with God. I walk with God because of the moments when I see serendipity and grace expressed so sublimely. I'm only here to accept my responsibility. I walk through a world I don't like. And as time went on, I felt more disconnection. I walk through a world I don't like until I had almost complete separation of myselves. I walk through a world I don't like. And this wasn't troubling. I thought it would help. I walk through a world I don't like, and that I could make a true observation and learn and improve. I walk through a world I don't like, but I found that the obverse was true. I walk through a world I don't like, and that the more I remain detached and considering the reflection, I walk through a world I don't like, the more I became unnatural and obsessed with my own protection. I walk with God. I walk with God. I walk with God. It's called Windy Sequins. Through the missing bricks, you can see a banquet table with a candelabra crooked from water-falling wax. On the other side of the missing bricks is a tablecloth with faintly gray claw stains left by mourning doves. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table, heaving with indentations from apples, persimmons, cantaloupes, and pears. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a deer walking in the distance while a finger painting floats to the ground. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table with unopened telegrams and sturdy silver trays stacked up with books about the Enlightenment. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a pebble garden placed on a tree branch next to a mortar and pestle. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table, lined along the bottom right edge with bowls of cold dandelion soup. Seated 45 degrees away from the banquet table is a man with a salt and pepper waxed mustache humming waltzes and complaining about the distortion of sounds and colors. 110 years old, and he doesn't know that electric blue can be beautiful too. It's called Cheltenham Girl. Like a cloud, beautiful sound, standing before the signal. When the light shines on the ground, it reflects off the wheel. Parking lot next to the short building on the edge of the desert. She sees it's harder to be a number when you're just starting out as a visitor. Cheltenham Girl. Clouds can't create the shapes they make or hold on to any rain. Precious, temporary, holding no domain. No machines, no cell phone or computers, clicking through broken links. Credit card, social security needed. She'll refuse to register. She really will. Cheltenham Girl. Every day, another wish, another mile, closer to the point where I can portray it. Until then, all I'll do is sing to her spirit. She will return. She will return. How are we doing out there? Okay, good. Any requests? Never gets old. All right. This is called Two Franciscan Nuns. Chewing mint leaves while crossing the Calumet River, the paper mill's exhaust pipes interrupt the vista. Mules waited with surge protectors, hairspray, and cassettes, a riverboat of morphine-addicted ghosts over there on the left. Two Franciscan nuns wanted to build a hospital, but settled for organizing games of chance. In their hotel rooms, they squeeze out extra acidic orange juice and excommunicate people with unpleasant names from the phone book. 2 Franciscan nuns helped decorate an admiral in the pensioner's home after he'd misplaced his uniform. They blessed his pills, kissed his parakeet, and as he slept, gathered sets of his false teeth to sell at the swap meet. A brain with blood and oxygen is better than a fish who talks. What some people see as skin discoloration is in fact the natural pigmentation when viewed from the inside. Some newspapermen have always known this, and indeed, they have nothing to hide. It's called Milky Skies. For 3 weeks, I've seen the sky as one color stretched over a muted spectrum, and I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration. With my sense of decency tested, I stared at celeste-colored veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the worm, thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends repeatedly requested questions only furthers her hesitation, so she leaves a small note of explanation. Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget chores performed with red impressions left intact from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. Shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment, and with his shoulders pinned back, adjusts his balance and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that had possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way, and he falls back gently, lands on his hands while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone. I felt watched when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as minutes become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs. And now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in a heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulder and squealing. And now, as fury impassively fades, any vows I made could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without any interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies, and now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies with 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written out on a business card. Here she flies, gums and hair receded, a miniature brace for a baby wrapped in grayed, hardened plastic. Here she flies with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old western silently. Here she flies while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water in 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies with skin like marble over winding staircases and rooms with seafoam colored walls and intimidating machinery. This is called Shower. Graceful heaven falling, encapsulating, caressing beauty, swimming in a small cherubic pool, heightening and deadening, red waves surging in elegance, crest of peaceful thoughts floating over the mind, universal pulse. This is called Pearls. There'd been a robbery in her apartment. The dentist dabbed at the blood dripping off his drill and said that was a lot more than I had expected. They had hit Carrie's place while she slept. The cops spent the early hours asking her questions like, did she have any enemies? Perhaps somebody in her family. They told her to screen her calls, implored her to invest in some security. Ultimately, the only items of value taken were a few pieces of jewelry. Bankers' boxes were duct taped shut and loaded in the truck, their contents filled with scrap to go and get melted down by guys who didn't care whether it came from an abandoned ironworks or was brass stolen from a Catholic school. Gregory never thought it would come to this. The ranch was facing foreclosure. He'd gotten a wedge of glass jammed into his hand, and his girlfriend had spent $25 she didn't have on an ugly antique horseshoe she hung upside down in the doorway. I should have known when we were standing at your mother's grave that you wouldn't speak any longer. I should have known when we were standing at your mother's grave, walled in a cold fog. Gregory looked down at the 4 inches of stained skin on his left forearm and thought what that symbol had meant to him when he was 18, and then how gutted he felt when he noticed the girl at the bank had the same thing on her ankle. While the detective tried to focus on the negatives from the crime scene, intently scanning for details he might otherwise miss, but he was distractedly irritated by the accidental double exposures and dark splotches of silver salts on his fingertips. I used to walk much quicker and look over my shoulder. Now I no longer worry. I used to walk much quicker, but now I've been absolved of that responsibility. There was a beautiful storm last night that disrupted the 90-degree heat and blocked out the 6 p.m. sun, the smell of mud running over the fresh blacktop, icy rain that came like the crest of a wave cutting short the humidity. My clothes and hair getting drenched, the holes in the soles of my shoes, letting the water soak my feet as I walked in circles across the nearly empty lot. This is called Canary Milk. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a worn, well-folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead, while Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams the deleted scenes of their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh. While Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. It's called Blue Soaked Scepter. The kink in my neck that runs to my kidneys, distracting me from movies I've long since memorized and repeating quotations I've lived inside of, and I've no desire to rewrite history that doesn't concern me. When what I didn't know already felt familiar, when I saw the inscription on my commemorative plaque had been worn back to smooth silver, when I slipped behind the mist, changed clothes, washed my hands, and shaved, with no light and with no intention of anyone seeing my face for a while, I was willingly walked through a coal-stained city lot and deposited in the back seat of an already running windowless army green car, which was then locked from the outside. Mary! Had I abandoned my practice, committed an indirect affront in my brief absence? My name is Keith. The beggar at my door raised his arm, but soft, while I listened to his parables that had no center. My name is Luke. With an auspicious mistress beside me, I looked at a baby looking out a window at fluttering street signs. My name is Julia. My temper was gentle as I read a sermon called, "Are you here to celebrate the death of death?" My name is Giles. I wish that I'd been obscured when my ears were bitten with endearment while I was plainly ignored. My name is Grace. I was observed by 3 people whose accounts proved suggestible and fractured. My name is Abigail. I faced hard construction when I in truth spoke forcefully about my forged fingerprints. My name is Morgan. I spent twilight emptied save for sketching a red tunic on bent paper. My name is Brooke. I was registered in a hotel under an assumed name and made lists of families that I pitied. My name is Gabriel. I singed my hair and clothes trying to be recalled. The sky has been moonless for 29 nights. Why couldn't I stay? I was bothered by the way the streetlights hit the trees and reflected off the leaves. I took a knife and short length of rope. 6 hours later, I'm waiting for you to arrive, carrying a scepter and wearing a breastplate with frayed shoulder blades and exhausted eyes. I'm waiting for you to arrive, sitting cross-legged on the sodden deck with wayward souls who were barely seen. I leapt off the ledge and was soon out of haunt as I climbed the concave shores, wondering if I should forage, catch a gudgeon, or eat unbruised fruit that had fallen. The gravelly, guttered soil gave way to encroaching forest, dense with rows of weighted, wet, purple limbs that succumbed to gravity and wind. Then abruptly, I was in the center of a champaign, and the only objects I found were short rows of tree stumps and stones, each carved with the query, "What made you look here?" I jaunced away into the odd even and was again pursued by the thicket's reach. The thorns licked my calves, the ant hills shone like pebbled glass. I brushed past a frog with a violet tongue and discolored teeth, who gulped for relief, while his body remained static like a splayed thread in aspic. I made my way into the antres and found myself prating, "Prithee, pray tell what you remember of working your hands into the mud and feeling it curl under your fingernails." It feels like a relic reunited with its original setting after having been figured lost or only seen in a dream. Betimes I glanced around for the traveling lamp while standing beside the curvature, hearing myself call to datelessly abandon vizards and leasing and be faithfully young-eyed. I returned once more to the champagne and sat among the stones in silence. I received no visions or visitations, no inspiration to invent an incantation, and in this vacuum of communication, I only experienced the sense or perchance suggestion of the imposing press of eras and atmosphere. And now I notice this restless weather, shy beams of sunlight moving sideways through the strings of remaining rain. This is called Shedding Skins. Excuse me. Bloody neuter on the ringworm dancing with a spectral beauty that isolates fleeting flags and flowers from their glorious panderings, only to find they need no bounds to pillage the free-flow love mine boiling on the calluses of their corneas. But you, yes you, know him actually on the second time around, forever never considered why you laugh or what you grunt behind, and nothing is alas everything has been unrecovered by the sallow aristocracy implosion, in order when the little girls encased in gender sunshine pull down the dawn and shriek merrily of the conquest of fantasy facts, that which in proven by the powers that appear in by, how, where, or because the lightning rays that is the steel girder stapled to the collective loin nicked off its kerosene shell until the rural timeshare spat mucus from the other depths of their backwoods soul scenery and trounced upon radiators, slashing sharply in the wind in neatly layered shark-skin sweater investments, droning to the click drum madness that haunts the delights of the cupids and raises their swords to the obscene fool Nancy's that now branching to the stratosphere came nearer and nearer to their choice flight of destination, gesticulatingly appointed by the elder Olympus, that no man hath done tread upon, neither conquering nor salivating, the twisted pipeling perpetuating, ghostly consequence leading in for the crescendo that yearns to flee away, perhaps to the gutter, perhaps to the perforation, perhaps to the hostages caged in a womb 36 inches by the only thoughts you can't repress, manifesting suggests that by life and honor the very first depths came united to the lovely neither comprehend, instead shaping the wing taught so flagrantly, as well known to regard its own high priest as the height and unique daft eccentricity. Oh man, she who curses doth not will the plentitude into sleeping, but only scraping stones from its fingerprints, tangled lewdly and in connection with gratification with a floundering spider's web. This is called Parallel Place. I live in a parallel place where the land is level, where the streets are bright in the evenings, and I know what tomorrow brings. I live in a parallel place where the wind is cold, where gray-haired men sweep the bandshell and foxes sleep under church bells. I hear the lank-haired women walking in the morning, their faces shaped by the sun. I live in a parallel place where there's endless electricity with very low voltage, where everyone dies of old age. I live in a parallel place where rain runs into a tunnel, where able-bodied women clear the gutters and dragonflies rise in a slow-motion flutter. I see the able-bodied men hauling fallen branches, their faces shaded by the sun. I live in a parallel place where people speak in peace, where the foreman's spouse greets the mailman in a see-through blouse. I live in a parallel place where the forest faces east, where contracts are written in invisible ink and codes are created with a wink. I see all the people breathing through the day, their faces graced by the sun. Blissful cardinals, blissful infants, blue reflections magnified 10,000 times, blue beams bouncing off aged lenses, radiant artifacts, radiant heirlooms, white sails blistered by the salty sun, white china stacked up in cupboards, shining domes, shining necklaces, green feelings balanced on a yardstick, green parchment weighted down by grapes. There we are. This is called wax fruit. Like a shift starting at 4 a.m. without benefits and security. They knew the ex-poet lied, or tried, and when he arises, smiles, and deeply breathes the morning air, he's filled with daylight. And his friends dream of him in heaven, while he dreams of seeing faces in rock formations. Like the town crier lying supine on the floor next to an unplugged vibraphone, he imagines he's on a source mission to recover 93 rare fish from the Indian Ocean and having an unfolding series of explainable epiphanies bounce off his eyelids and into his ears, private collages whose messages leave him inarticulate and unwilling to even try to make sense to his most loyal admirers. Instead, he thinks about moving earth between his fingers, the smell of tomatoes on the vine in the humid summer morning, and pretending he's on a cold cement floor in a locker room where the janitor won't find him, and he can think about his breathing and align all his impulses into an imperceptibly perfect balance. Around the pool, the wrestling raccoons eventually stop to drink from a can of soup, while the deer in the reeds and the bats in the trees watched, along with myself, smelling the stack of rice paper and chewing pulp, the lemon juice in a simple accidental circle next to my pen and postcards from Nebworth. As my attention wandered, I was staring up, pensive and with little use for amusement, picturing my peers and their futures in wheelchairs, asking a physical therapist for help. And in an hour of uncertainty, one can become fragile and feel safe in that space for years, repeatedly living out the fear of being put there again. We become fragile and lose sense of what's natural. Become fragile and not recover what's hidden. Become fragile and ignore colors in the spectrum. Become fragile and wonder why we're living. Become fragile and think there won't be redemption. The witness said she'd never seen the like of you before. The rumpled polka dot dress, the mismatched flats stretched wide across your feet, the misapplied makeup drawing the eye away from the razor burn and stubble marking your white legs, the thin black wig framing your face, but mostly, of course, the chipped front tooth smile of your uncontrolled jubilance as you skip down the staircase. But in that moment, it was unbeknownst to you that your associates had missed, and while you carried out the planned exit, your target had already given you all the slip. And though there were theories around the handling of the case, despite strict orders, the tapes were never erased. This is very old. It's perhaps a glimpse from another time. Perhaps one can find comparisons to the modern world that we live in. Maybe these are embryonic versions of things. What was the dead Kennedys? How do they put it? We've got a bigger problem now? Perhaps. Maybe. I certainly wouldn't say that. I would never suggest that there's something wrong about the party. I would never suggest the party is flawed in some way. I mean, who am I to take away everyone's fun, right? This is called We've Been Shat On. Teen pain, teen angst, teen disgust, teen pity, teen apathy, teen tragedy. Blank generation, summer of love, summer of hate. Does our generation even get a summer? Or do the demographics show we don't deserve one? We're no worse than our predecessors, no smarter than our children. Family values, Christian values, no values. What are your views? You don't know, I don't know, your parents don't know, your teachers don't know, your priests don't know, and heaven forbid, even your rock stars don't know. Are you the embarrassment, or is it just the world? Generation Hex, Generation X, or better yet, Generation Next. No, we're none of the MTV sloganeering spin editorials of the Andy Rooney tirades. We're the products of plastic, silk, cement, truth, lie, left, right, homo, hetero, anti-everything, all accepting, faithful, date rape, atheist, starving, gluttonous, smart, stupid, brainwashed by information, sensory overload, microwave, fax machines, strip malls, convenience stores, half-second attention spans, hippies, communists, fascists, capitalists, socialists, God-fearing prevention programs, Geraldo, PBS, sexism, political correctness, racist affirmative action, light and lively, dirty, deceased, and bloated. This generation is the Armageddon of humankind, but we're also beautiful, serene, innocent, sweet, and pure. Nothing is new. It's all just a regurgitation. Yes, the people will choose their leaders, and instead we got Hitler and Reagan. Hate is you, and love is all. We're going to do the brother and sister. So the first piece that we're going to, brother and the sister, is Jade, and then the Tide. Jade, of course, is from the 2002 book Radar Grain. The Tide is from 2009 in a sort of a compilation. It's not a sort of a book, if you will. Communism. Oof. Communism is grand. And people would say, but is communism grand, Rich? And I would say, well, communism by its very definition cannot be grand. So consider that. Consider that the title itself is a bit of a whatever you want what is it? A mode jerk? Is that the term? Anyway, here we go. Winter went without finale, one brain with seagull emeralds and a chop of jade thicker than my wrist. Glancing became the transmission, like a doorbell whistling in a veterans parade. So, behind the minute hand extends more than obligation and demands more than devotion. Passion is 10,000 tiny cuts so untraceable they dye emotions without ever gracing the surface. Lightning travel celebrations and standing full face toward the stark light and thin wire sword play. Who's been saying in this bed? No one without articulation, tempo, and psychic extrapolative hysterics. At the break I am pacing, ignorant to stillness, shattering shins, pushing flagpoles out of the fields, locking engines to mortar, and blushing with inevitable glory leave. Swimming through the rising tide, eyes, 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 eyes. God bless each and every one of you, all 9 of you, alcohol-free, properly getting a taste of love. We love each and every one of you. Gio, Nyan, Momo, Dayan, Sana, Sui, Cheon, Mina, and of course, Jungyeon. Yes, Eve, on the limestone madrigal entrance. The wind stormed around the asthma liquids and flying cost of yen. The fur was melting in an envelope, lime green irises bobbing in the water. Trying to pry through the quarantine line. Topics of conversation overheard. Rusting park, yellow shoots and chipped lacquer. Birds landing on Mount Fuji. A dulcimer was plucked. Flood-necked papers rising and collected. Outside, crisp rings of flickering crossing change. Numbers assigned in a fetal hotel. Slow motion time to diagonal lights and backward directionals. Ceremonial silver display. Cold crux of current torn by rain. And smog filling ditches. Spear thrown into the branch. Limestone posts built on the marsh. Letters sent with smeared ink, walking through masks for photographs. The motorcade wasn't noticed. Flipped cigarette, punctured wrist. The tide stretched over itself. Doing okay out there? Beautiful. This is called Interrogation. Another millennium has passed. Come on, degrade me right here in public. This isn't just me. It's not the voices in your head. It's America. What's the difference? What difference does it make anyway? I'm sick of confronting all of you. Jump me now. After all, I'm irrelevant. Passing for white. You've used it before, posting signs pointing to the closest church. He needs an infusion and the coffee is cold. He stayed up all night to see himself dancing on television. The church is closed to be reopened by the mayor's cousin in construction. The glistening grocery store, the tavern with daily fashion shows. He set up a conference call and he's trustworthy because he looks just like me. Big white belly like a fish. The hotel with large chunks of missing bricks. The police station next to the building with a pasted sign in the front window that reads, "A law firm." The truck enforcement officer standing in the oncoming lane with his arms outstretched in ecstasy, overseen by a smiling baby who's somehow able to say, "I could smile 12 weeks from conception." I show my hand. I know. I always show my hand. Meanwhile, 7 of my 5 a.m. 2 cars 3 spaces apart in the White Castle parking lot. 1 man each gets out. On the left, he's wearing jeans and a flannel shirt and a cowboy hat, and on the right, a charcoal gray business suit. They walk in a V-shaped meet at the door with a handshake, then heated conversation. The corners of the cowboy's mouth start to bubble and foam as she's wobbling down the sidewalk, her skin-tight clothes somehow hanging off of her as she's watched by a man in a tracksuit holding a cell phone to his ear in silence. 20 feet away, the party crew pulls a U-turn as she's wobbling down the sidewalk. Lance Romance throws 20s at the guy waving away fruit flies, then shows these pupils why this is the finest fire extinguisher you'll ever find. The party crew spots the car wash and they get in line. They watch the jets bubble and foam, pretend they're superheroes with unlimited powers to make bubbles and foam. Theranos Industries deployed a prick-approved ecosystem agreeing on a settlement widespread future technology. She said accusingly and secretively, retiring her bloodless and company. Watch it bubble and foam. Frozen in place, the beer can, hair extensions, pubic hair, bondage wear, eagle eyes, white fumes, flying fingers, tops and bottoms, middling kingdom. Gamblers rejoice. I am in a flood zone. Watch them bubble and foam. Where form follows steam, where bourbon follows cream, bubble and foam. Over the safety warning, the crew delights. Set one's sweat glands reeling with a shark tooth covered in pudding. The owner urges everyone to look out the window at the condo, tow truck, restaurant, victim, night uniform, camera, newspaper, bank, park, car, yard, as if he's got some psychic powers. He was taught the meaning of versatility, respect for the law, trust for fistfights, and an arid humor that snorts debris when under the advisement of enforced idleness. Called room service. They arrive every year this time. They put swimsuits on, they tell jokes and get all the punchlines wrong. We set up the continental breakfast and watch the elevators come down. Before the wake-up calls, we are cleaning the halls. The tables are heavy. We vacuum the lobby. The rest of the morning, we're washing silverware and folding towels. I have to work a double tonight. I'm tired, but I don't mind. At least I'll get some overtime. But by 9, it seems like this shift will go on forever because it feels like I'm living in a non-stop dream. The lights are always on. I can't sleep or run away because I'll get in trouble. Get in trouble. I can't believe they stiffed me on a tip. I carried their luggage to the street. This is real, so bite my lip and don't ever look back. Don't ever look back. I get so frustrated when they ask me to repeat things because of my accent and then say, it's so cute the way you speak, and I have to listen to some woman complain about the thread count of the sheets. I don't want to work tonight, but I really don't have a choice. I have to make what I want, what I can now, because I won't be young forever, because it feels like I'm living in a non-stop dream. The lights are always on. I can't sleep or run away because I'll get in trouble. Get in trouble. I can't believe they forgot to fill the pool with chlorine. Second time this week. Not my job, but they still complain to me. This is real, so I bite my lip and smile politely as I can. Yes, I understand, ma'am. The high heart really starts getting racing when their kids throw things. I can't wait to go home tonight, but it'll be okay because it's either this or the Spoon Factory, and I can't wait to go home tonight. This is about a real person. Their name is in the title. This is, of course, and they will absolutely never fucking know that this was written about them. This is called Allison with a blue C and icebergs. She's ice cream, and there she's down the hall. She uses words like everything and all. I can hear her, but I can't make out her features. I know she spends her weekends in a cement cinema making notes. The girl next to her tries to see what she wrote. Allison wonders why the guy in the elevator keeps glancing at her and why the weather keeps jumping between rain and sun every 30 minutes. She keeps saying, quit asking me questions, I'm the one that's innocent. And people assume she's joking. Allison wonders, what are the windows thinking on a day where there's a white line down the center of the sky? Her mind cuts back to the guy on the elevator with a quick, look at me, look at you, we are equals. Allison wonders if she can keep hiding while knowing that they're following me. Allison writes, what started as hopes are now observations, mostly about nature, and being young stops being fascinating. Once it's done, Allison looks down at her bowl of spinach, and her eyes focus down on the details of one leaf, and she quietly speaks. An atheist sees this and can only think of the mud that it grows from. Allison writes, we extend grace out of our own sense of grace, and smiles because she's not sure if that's something of her own or something she's half remembering from 2 or 3 incarnations ago. Allison considers why her back and hands are so slippery when she's invisible, and then tells her sister, my tongue is a graffiti sponge. I wonder if I'll have to make love in front of a judge. Allison considers that she's a character who looks and acts exactly like her, then draws a bath with the lights off. Allison invites her guests to walk barefoot while cherries and red confetti float out of her phone. Allison considers emptying cash registers if the security cameras lose power. But what she mostly wants are completely natural segues with no artificial blends. So with that, make thoughts your aim or nerve blaming when all meet with you at your beginnings, but make allowances for their worn-out tools and make dreams a trap for fools after they are gone. Called Summer Equals Live. 1:29 a.m. Sonic Youth on the headphones, snow on the TV screen. I love all, fuck all. I love you, fuck you. I love me, fuck me. This is White Cello. Talk to me. I'm in the open window. I'm not in time, but I've got your watch, and I need to learn to play this white cello. Scratch the surface! I'm on the shore with a can of sugar. It's never bitter. I'd really rather be playing, though, because I like the white strings and the white bow. That's not her. That's her. It was the simplest thing you said today. I'm still reeling with no moments except now. You don't possess any microscope, so instead I will take the telescope. I'm trying to be angelic, which isn't easy after getting desensitized with disappointments every night, eating fresh vegetables and planning. You already know, and then you talk me out of it. You don't have a pistol in your waistcoat, your teeth aren't flecked with flax seeds, my misjudgments are my own, and most are unknown. Just because I'm a pacifist doesn't mean I'll just let any dumb motherfucker abuse me. And speaking of myself, notice me! I'm standing next to the tree where the guy crashed the car, got out and ran for it. But I can behave for over 100 days, and I've squandered my efforts and so much goodwill that I sometimes still need to convince myself that I should try to learn to take lessons at all. But I'm sure that you want me to, and I know what I can do. And with that, we're not missing anything. We're humming songs through the phone. We're midnight movers. We're holy rollers without a religion. No, we're not. Don't be the guy on the bike in the right lane racing for his life against rush hour traffic in the morning. I know you are, and you know that I care. And I feel like I'm Clark Kent all dressed up in primary colors, and I just haven't taken off my glasses yet. She said to me, as long as it's not evil. And I said to her, I cannot be evil, certainly not right now. But it's the rising sun, it's a hard-boiled egg, it's basil, it's a blue charm. I just want to play the white cello. I just want to sit in a circle and think about it some more. So we're going to wrap this up? Are we going to test people's patience? No. I'm just thinking out loud. It's warm communication going on over here. So that's what I'm talking about. So it's never going to change some channels. Quarters, dimes, and nickels, and all Semites must be wearing a blue suit. Go to the slots and cut off your slots. It'd be like a reverse safari where they hit lions, cheetahs, and tigers in a truck and driving around and showing other people shopping and walking down the street or pumping gas. It'll be the apex of manifestation. It won't be something that's in the Bible. It'll be exactly like the Bible. Or it'll be a suburban safari where some guy named Greg gives you a little pith helmet and plastic binoculars, and you wait under his kitchen table for the cat to use the litter box. But why does it gotta be white? Never heard from before. Advertising space available, clean, clear water, and of course, the tasty tastiest tomatoes. You and Bobby started to sing. I greet the puppies with a smile and attempt to comb my hair for a while. I idle my time on a red velour sofa. It's not mauve, it's not puce, it doesn't look anything like you. It's ugly, it's got plastic cushions. I spilled my apple juice on that sofa. Or is it a love seat? Or is it a futon? It might be a bidet for all I can see. Well, whatever the hell it is, I don't want to sleep on it or eat your chocolate cake anywhere near it. I don't even want to go in your house because your dog humps my leg and your boyfriend picks my teeth and your dad chews on my eyelashes and there's not 1 inch of floor space clean enough to lick. You turn my water brown. You see now, Granddad dresses like a clown that's got a big red nose that's not nearly as revolting as that's over. So by the way, I'm not coming over tonight. So quit following me down the hall or hit on me in the toilet stall. Because any house with that much Elvis on velvet won't find me on their front porch swing or their Norman Rockwell painting. But maybe I will drop by dressed in armor and a satin hat with some flowers for the maid and cocktails for the cat that never got me in the sack and a muzzle for that goddamn dog, and I'll cut out your nose hair and put on your pancakes. The old supper is served! So the butler can take a night off and play some darts at Granddad. And for dessert, I'll serve pigs in a blanket garnished with spaghetti, she said, with some lighter fluid and a lock of your ma's pubic hair to torch that fucking sofa to the ground. Because it ain't Art Deco no matter how hard you try and swing it, and the vinyl siding may go up in flames, but it really ain't Little Pink Outfit after all. I was the toots. A blue wave sprayed gently onto the window. It remained an unfaded crescent reaching over the rooftop. Birds flew through untethered. Droplets yawned in sonorous applause. The shapes succumbed, giving way by matching passing movements. As when water splashes in the sky, a maypole stands unraveled, while a sunfish kisses a butterfly. The fences were then a canvas, soaked tissue paper sprung over electrical wires, fragile fork tails, freshly shaven, as bronze tiger beetles glanced up at the heavens. Dance the night away! And that, my friends, is another exciting edition of the Quarantine Stream. We hope that you've enjoyed it. By the grace of God, we will be back next week. I'm fairly confident that we will be back next week. Let us hear the Quarantine Stream theme one more time, shall we? Beautiful. All right, everyone. Until next week, stay safe, stay smart. Here's the point. Stay free, because you already are. Got that? Yes. All right, everyone. Like I said, by the grace of God, we will be back next week. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And with that, goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.